just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if it's sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 267. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benesowitz. We are presented by DraftKings. Episode 266 was called Knicks Miracle in the Works? 267, the answer to that is no. Knicks lose to the Indiana Pacers in 6 games. Knicks season for the second straight year falls to the Pacers. And the Pacers move on to the NBA Finals, where they will play the Oklahoma City Thunder in what was a very interesting, fascinating, entertaining 6 games from my perspective. But this Knicks season is now over. Alex, how are you doing?
Not great. I mean, rough season. I mean, rough series, not season. Season was great. Rough series. Just didn't take advantage of the opportunities that they had, like they did in the previous 2 series. And it just, that's what happens. You can't give away games in the playoffs. We talked about it last episode where he said, I think it was Bill Simmons says, when you give away a game in a series, it's like you got to win 5 games in that series. And it's so true. I kept thinking about that, and it's so true. And it sucks, and it wasn't even game 1 that sticks with me the most. It's game 2. Like following that up with losing again just is like, oh, that's when I knew like it wasn't likely they were going to win this series, because if you win game 2, it's still split, and it's all right. You usually is a split in the first 2 anyway, and you roll on. But I think I said it here on this pod or on Twitter. I don't remember where I said it, that game 2 loss was more upsetting and distraught. I was more distraught after game 2 than game 1 for that reason, And it sucks. I mean, it's still a great season. It was still fun. I still have memories from this season I'll never forget, in the regular season and in the playoffs. And, the 24-25 Knicks will be remembered forever, like one of those great runs. So just sucks. It's not a championship again, but what can you do?
And for me, it was just relief. I mean, I can't tell you the relief I had when late in the fourth quarter with like 3:20 left and it was 19, and then it started to sink in. This is done. I mean, the way this series has gone and the way these playoffs has gone and the next season has gone, I never felt comfortable until that spot. I was like, okay, even though the quarter was dictating the way it was going, the Knicks were trading baskets. It was like 12-14 for a good stretch between like 9 and 5 minutes, somewhere in that point. But at that point, I knew it was over. And it was relief. I certainly from this playoff run have been reignited in just how much I dislike the Knicks fan. And I know a lot of those fans listen to this, and I'm very comfortable saying it. Y'all got on my nerves. I was happy to see it over. I was happy to see you lose, and it felt good. And I also honestly took it pretty personal. I mean this. When Josh Hart went on his podcast and he made fun of the Nets, he did. And I swear to you, that pissed me off, and it did get on my nerves. And I don't know if the sports gods were listening, but Josh shot 18% from 3 in the playoffs against the Pacers in their 6 games. He had a 3-point shot from the corner that I don't know if a geometry teacher could teach you how to get an angle of a basketball shot to do that. And he fell really short in these playoffs. He had a decent game at home, which was the one I was at in game 5. But other than that, he really had a pathetic series. And I really did take it personal when he said that. Call it what you want. I'm a Nets fan. I've been one my whole life. And when you shit on my team in the middle of your playoffs, the basketball gods came for you and you got fucked and you lost. And I honestly got mad by that. I have a lot of good friends that are Knicks fans, you included. But I'm glad to see that run over, and I'm not apologetic for it.
And nor should you be. I mean, it's a rivalry. Knicks and Nets are a rivalry. That's why we do this podcast. I mean, I can't ever say rivalry right for some reason. It's one of those words that always messes me, beats me up. But it is. And, a lot of Nets fans were trying to dunk on me on Twitter today about playful stuff, of like, look at these tweets that you sent out all these years ago when the Nets were losing. And I'm like, yeah, so you know what I mean? Well, I was mad about that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how you got me.
No,
You
no
know?
one got any bad, but I actually
Yeah.
think there was it's a very good net fan. He holds net spaces. Uh his Twitter's name's Saint.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
He's
I
good.
thought his response to you in quote tweet was just perfect. It was kind of like, this is not serious.
No, no.
Like, you've shit on us. Obviously, we're not in a good place right now compared to the Knicks. I think any net fan to say that would be delusional. But
Right.
this is going to be a couple days where net fans are going to dunk on the Nick fan a little bit because they can. And because, like I said before, it is relief. And it does stem out of jealousy from not being in the same place. Like, I'm not going to say who the people were, but I will read you text messages that I have gotten last night and throughout the day. One person wrote, I woke up with a smile on my face.
These are Nets fans
These are
texting.
net fans
Yeah.
getting texts. That I wrote, "What a great day! How are you celebrating?" I thought that was a little extreme. But these were just throughout the day, just getting these text messages. Like the fan base was happy. And the McHale thing added to it, Alex. Like that that definitely spiced
Of
it up.
course. Of course. It's kind of what's similar to 2019. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like the Knicks, traded Durant and Kyrie to the Nets, but everybody knows the story. It was openly flirting and everybody thought that they were gonna go to the Knicks and they went to the Nets. So Knicks fans took it personally.
Of course,
Excuse me. And, honestly, like Pacers fans can talk. They can talk all day. The Pacers beat the Knicks. It wasn't because of the refs. It wasn't because of anything. They just beat them. They beat the crap out
turnovers.
of them. And, not the crap out of them, but they beat them. And a lot of times in game six, it felt like the Pacers had six players on the floor and not five. It was just like overwhelming to watch. In the first half, they kept up with them. And then in the second half, it was just too much. And they can talk all day. Pacers fans, Celtics fans can shut up. Nets fans can shut up. Sixers fans can shut up. Pistons fans can shut up. You guys are all like lost to the Knicks or you're nothing. That's just to me. You guys can just take a hike. You know what I mean? Why are you getting involved in this? You guys either lost or you're nothing. So that's just how I feel. You know what I mean? It's like
Oh, I
Knicks and Nets are
understand.
a rivalry, and you're gonna talk shit. I get it, but I
Yeah,
honestly
have
right
to.
now it's just like
Have to. And shout out to some of the Nick fans that reached out to me today, like Dolan Trump, who said, and I know he made me laugh here because he's like, "Congratulations on your big win." And I said, "Thank you. It was fucking great."
oh
But
man,
like there's there's one guy in particular that texts me after every single Knicks game, was a no show today. Like, where were you? Where were you?
Buddha, yeah,
I'm no names needed. Text me
Buddha.
all the time. The Knicks in seven. Send me a clip of Josh Hart being a dick and crapping on the Nets. Nowhere to be found today. So I was a little disappointed in that. Not upset, not mad, just disappointed. And I will be excited though, Alex, to talk about this. Now that I kind of got that out of my system.
Good.
The Did you see the Fred Kratz report about Fred Katz, excuse me,
Who's
about
Kratz? Yeah.
the Knicks being frustrated with Katz his
Oh yeah, I
defense,
believe it. 100% believe it.
and I think that was what you saw on the bench a little bit.
With OG, yeah.
That was some of it. I mean, this Knicks team to me, I don't think you're going to see wholesale changes. I think they need to make a couple of adjustments. Clearly, they got to get a better bench. And I think too for Thibs, like he will be back next year. He needs to understand, like what the Pacers did so well is they developed young players that were drafted by the Pacers or were traded early on. Like Obi Toppin, he's to me the perfect example.
Right.
Obi Toppin is not a great NBA. All these guys are great, but he's not a great
He's
NBA
not a
player.
star. He's not what we thought we were
But
going to
like,
get from what we
I
thought.
look
Yeah.
back and I look back in particular and go, how could he not spell Julius Randle like 20 minutes and give you athleticism up and down the court? I'm like, that's what he does for the Pacers. Some games he scores two. Some games
Nails
he
the open
scores
three.
seven. Some
Right.
games he scores 16,
Yeah.
111. Sometimes it's 21 and he has a breakout game. He was pretty good in this series and had some impactful plays. But I look at Thibs, I'm like, why couldn't you do that with Obi as a backup to Randall? Why did it have to be all or nothing?
Right. And Obi also has proved when he was with the Knicks that he raises his game in the playoffs dramatically. So I don't understand that. I mean, they gave him away for 2 seconds, future seconds to the Pacers. Remember, I was pissed.
Yeah.
Not only because they gave him away for nothing and didn't give him a chance, but the fact that they gave him to the Pacers. You know what I mean? It's just out of all the teams, man. Like give him
And it burned
send
him
him to
twice.
Portland. You know what I mean? Like something. And that pissed me off. But, and I knew he was going to come back to bite him, and they did. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I mean, what can you do? I just, it really frustrates me because the Knicks can't do anything. I mean, they're already over the first apron. You don't want to stay over that for some, it's you get penalized if you're over the first apron, the second apron. They're a little over the first apron now. They're gonna have to make some moves. The only way that they're gonna improve their bench is if they trade one of the top 6 players that they have, or 7. Really not 7, because you're not gonna trade Deuce. You're not gonna get much for Deuce because he gets paid nothing. So if you trade one of the top 6 players, you know who they are. The top, the starting 5 and Mitch, or Mitch, the starting 5 and Josh Hart, whichever starting lineup you're looking at. So you have to trade one of those guys to get 2 or 3 players, unless you're trading, to get Giannis, and then everything changes. So I don't know what you're gonna do, but honestly, I really, let me say this in a nice way. I had enough of Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, he's so great and so talented and so amazing. He reminds me of Pau Gasol in a way, how he would play soft at times, and then Phil Jackson and Kobe would get in his face to play harder. He just missing something, because he's so dominant on offense, even though sometimes he disappears a lot. Not sometimes, a lot he disappears. And then he was terrible at the line in game 6. It was 6 for 10.
Yeah, missed a lot.
And he is atrocious on defense. Karl Towns may have the worst defensive IQ in the NBA. And you're switching and you're backpedaling on a 3-pointer with Halliburton having the ball. What are you what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And that happened multiple times in the series, and it's just what? And that's why I buy that Fred Katz report. It's just what are you doing? That's why. And this is a guy who makes a quarter of the Knicks' salary next year. They're making 200. Their salary's around $200 million, and he's gonna make over 50. And this guy can't play defense for a lick. Jalen Brunson, say what you want about him. He's so good offensively, and he never takes plays off. And he on defense, he tries. He might not be the best defender, but he's always trying. He might hack a little bit. But he's there. He's in it. He's making the right rotations. He just can't get it done. He's just not that good defensively. But Towns is just moronic defensively, and it drives me nuts. And I just think he's the guy that's got to go. And I hate to say it. And Josh Hart was terrible, and you want to kick him to the curb, but one bad series doesn't negate everything he's done for this franchise since he's been here. I'd give him another chance, but Towns, I'm just cut bait before it's too late.
Well, Towns, this 25-26 is 53 million, 26-27 is 57, and then 27-28 player option is 61 million.
God,
and I can't imagine.
How old now? 30, 32, 31?
He's probably around there. I mean, I can't imagine if you're making $61 million, you would decline that player option. Obviously there's no way in hell he's doing that.
No.
I agree with you on Towns.
29 now. He's going to be 30 in November, so he's 30. Let's say
he was awesome in game 3 in the fourth quarter. He won the Knicks that game.
Yeah.
Game 5, he had some really good stretches, particularly I think in the second quarter, where he helped extend the lead. But we had talked about this with Evan Roberts on the show back in February or March. Yeah. And we had said when your 2 best players are the defensive liabilities, it makes the team odd. And the first play of the game 6, the Pacers had that high pick and roll, and Brunson and Towns were just lost. And then there was, I think it was a Nembhard layup to make it 2-2. And they just Carlisle was the first coach that really figured out schematically how to just put them in a blender defensively, and just had no chance, and forced turnovers, and they got the matchup that they wanted consistently. You did not get that enough from Detroit, certainly not enough from Boston. The Pacers were the first team to do that. And I remind everybody, the Pacers had one less win than the Knicks. And I said this before, and it was poo-pooed, but now obviously it stands. They had one less win than the Knicks. They were the hottest team in the NBA entering the playoffs. And they proved it. I mean, they dismantled the Bucks in 5. They beat the Cavs in 5. The Cavs were hurt, but you remember the Cavs won 60-something.
The Bucks
games.
were hurt too. They beat 2 hurt teams, and they beat two hurt teams last year. So nobody took them seriously because of that. You know what I mean?
But still, it was a Cavs team with 60-something wins, and they made these teams look like they had no heart. And the Knicks gave them their biggest challenge. Clearly, going to 6 games, and then game 1, which they folded.
Miracle game.
Yeah. An all-time disaster.
Yeah.
An all-time disaster. and the Pacers took advantage of it. And then it was back and forth. It was very similar to the Celtics series and how that it was developed and went where you had a game 5 at home for Boston where they blew out the Knicks, then they got back to the Garden, got crushed. This is kind of similar in how that all worked out. And the Knicks season comes to an end, and back to the Town stuff. He is not tradable unless I shouldn't say that. He could be tradable, but I will say this: the Milwaukee Bucks would not on their mind. If you're going to trade Giannis, it's to fully redevelop. You don't want to, right? Like you want to fully blow it up and go start fresh. This idea that they would be like, oh, well, we'll trade Giannis, but we could get another star in Karl Anthony Towns. Like then they're just this season, but even worse. And Dame's hurt. Karl Anthony Towns and that Bucks team is a fringe 8th playoff, like fringe playoff team at best. Right. So why would you rather have that as opposed to just complete rebuild
or just keeping your guy
or just keeping him? Or just keeping him and say, fuck it. I will say this though, for the Knicks, I look at the Pacers as the DNA here. But there's one slight difference that they have that the Knicks don't. But they didn't overreact to losing to the Celtics in 4 last year. They got Mathurin back. They kept developing their younger talent. Siakam was there. They didn't overreact and trade all these guys. They kept the core together. And I do think that's what's the best avenue for the Knicks. Right. And then just working around the fringes of being like, let's develop the rookies from this year. They don't have a pick
Kolick
this year.
And those guys.
Develop them.
Yeah.
And if they can't play,
Porty,
you gotta develop. You got to develop it, and because that's how the Pacers were able to win the series, because that DNA during the season proved dividends in the playoffs.
Right, like who is Naismith and Nemhard? These aren't top prospects from the draft. Like, you know what I mean? These aren't guys like
Naismith was 14th or something, but they just developed them.
But
and you got very good rotational players to go along with the stars.
The only thing I'll say, and then I want to throw a hypothetical trade at you, not for the Bucks, but another side. The only thing I'll tell you with Giannis is that it's a stars league, and you know how it is. If a star says, "I want this team," they're getting there. Whether it's a good trade, a bad trade for the organization is just going to get whatever they can for that situation. You know what I mean? Like Durant, going to the Suns, the Nets got whatever they could because he said, "I want the Suns." You know what I mean? Harden said, "I want the Nets," and they got whatever they can get for Harden.
Right?
Like, you know what I mean? It is what it is. It's a stars league. So if Giannis says, "I want the Knicks," and it's his favorite place to vacation, then he's going to say, "I want the Knicks." But also the Nets play in Brooklyn too. But I don't think he would go to the Nets. It's not even a shot. I don't think he's going to go to a team that stinks, when he could just stay with the Bucks where he's the king. You know what I mean? Like, why would he want to go to the Nets just to go to the Nets? It would have to be him, and then somebody else is going to have to come too, guaranteed, like a Trae Young, like we talked about.
Yep.
So there's that. So the hypothetical trade for me is Karl Anthony Towns to the Kings for Sabonis and Malik Monk. Would you do that if you're both sides?
If I'm the Knicks, I'd do that in a second.
Yeah. Because the contracts sort of match up, so I think it can work. So
because I think that I think that's a terrible trade for the Kings.
Yeah.
I don't think they do it. I mean, you're basically resetting the T-Wolves trade. I mean, you got a guard that can shoot, and it can make big threes. And
the bonus is better than Hartenstein, but it is this. I mean, not Hartenstein,
with Randall.
With Randall,
but you got a
bonus better than Randall. That's what I meant.
Bruising power forward that has a nice touch. I think is Sabonis a lefty too?
He might be.
I don't know. Anyway,
I don't remember.
The point is that I think that if I'm the Knicks, I do that in a second.
See, these contracts are so big and so bloated. There's only X amount of teams that can trade for him, and that's how the Knicks were able to get Towns. You know what I mean? Like they had to manipulate. Jalen Brunson took less, and the Hart took less, and this guy took less, and they had to figure it out that way. And OG felt disrespected by the McHale trade, so they had to pay him the max to keep him. And so now we're here, and it's just like what do we do? So you might be stuck in a good way and keep this team together, like you were saying. And it is what it is. But you know what? The other thing I wanted to say, and this we can finish with this if you want, is Thibs. Anybody who's saying that they're going to fire Thibs, they're just insane. You know what I mean? They either haven't been paying attention to the Knicks or they're just a casual, because or they just don't like the guy and they never will, like no matter what he does, because this guy has, I for all his warts, and I've called him out so many times. I thought he should have been fired after year two, and I couldn't believe he stayed. But good thing he did because he won. I mean, they could have won with another coach, but that's another story. He has now in 5 years resurrected this franchise as a coach, and even before Jalen Brunson with that four seed season, and then just the last 2 years, 50 wins, over 50 wins. 3 straight years, at least second round Eastern Conference Finals, the first time in 25 years. Can we calm down? You know what I mean? Can we calm down? I know they were the favorites in this series, but like you said, it wasn't like they were playing, the upstart, Hawks that went on a crazy run in the playoffs and got to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they're really a playing team, and then they lost. It's not that. The Pacers had one less win than the Knicks. Can we calm down? Can we just calm down? And they don't need to do it in complete fire sale and rebuild this entire roster. They don't need to do that either. So those two things, people need to just calm down. I know everybody's grieving from the loss, but let's just chill and let's let reality set in. The draft will be here just before we know it, and let's turn a page.
Yeah, I don't think Thibs gets fired. I think this is a make or break, will be a make or break year, and it's finals or bust for him moving forward. I think the problem is, and I'm proud of myself for saying this beforehand, because you and I always had a conversation about the Knicks and the minutes police, and it was like, oh, it doesn't matter, they're playing all these minutes, my thing was like, I get you, but you are developing nothing here. There is no backup plan, and it got exposed at the latest time. You need to start developing he has to have more faith in it's like, I don't know how many playoff series the Knicks have to lose before Thibs realizes the regular season is meaningless until you get to the playoffs. And obviously there's meaning, but it's about what happens in the playoffs. Use the regular season when you're a team like the Knicks to develop a deeper bench and take it you have to give guys more minutes, not because guys are going to get tired, but it was like, Josh Hart led the league in minutes and then couldn't get on the court because he was so bad in that series. Well,
yeah,
develop other guys. Like, that's what you have to do. And what's the point of drafting these people if they're never going to play? And now the Knicks don't have a first round pick this year. That's not me that's not a shot. They don't have one this year.
It's a fact. Yeah.
It's a fact. They have a second round pick, but it's like 50th in the draft.
They'll probably punt it.
Whatever. What happens? But they got to they have to develop younger players, and then they have to convince older vets to take less money to be like, hey, you have a chance to win a championship. I want to say this, Alex, because I mean this. The Knicks next year could go to the finals. They could lose in the first round. And that's not an indication of the Knicks. Well, it partially is, but it's also the NBA right now. Look at how these series go in the playoffs. Every team can win. It's no longer like it's the Warriors. Why are we even trying?
Never chalk anymore. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Like, the East is wide open. If I said who's going to win the East next year, you could make an argument for the Knicks. You could make an argument for the Cavs. You could make an argument for the Magic. You could make an argument for the Pistons. Like, it is wide open. So for me, keep the continuity with the Knicks. Just make those small adjustments to get deeper in the places I'm talking about, and then take another run at it. Because it's anybody's game. It really, Tatum's hurt. I mean, the East is wide open. Pacers are great, but there's still, there's no guarantees. That to me is why
we also don't know what's happening in this offseason yet, because there's a couple big chips that could be moving, and Giannis, Trae Young, whoever else, we'll see. So something can happen that can shake up.
Wide open though. It's wide open.
It is. As of right now, it is. And, in defense of Thibs, he did develop Deuce McBride. He did develop quickly. He did develop RJ. He's done a lot of good developing here. And, guys like Josh Hart have taken the next step with him. And you know what I mean? So, like, he has. So he's shown that he can, but you make a good point. You have to trust these guys. Like, why is Precious Achiuwa such a big part of the team all year, and then in the playoffs he stinks. Like, you don't even trust him to put him on the, like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not saying Precious Achiuwa is gonna give you 25 and 12, but like, he every now and then he got that and one in the series. Like, every now and then he's gonna get some big plays, maybe a big dunk, spark the team, get some rebounds. Like, he plays tough, plays hard. He gives you his fouls are meaningful fouls and hard foul. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of guy you want on the floor. Like I don't understand why you don't play him. But the three guys that they're going to have to develop if they're going to stay pat and stand pat with this roster, which is very possible but besides maybe some minor moves, is Daddy, Kolik, and Huck Porty. Those three guys. Those are the three guys. You need to get at least one or two of those guys to take the next step. And Daddy was a first round pick this year. So like
Right.
this is a guy that, I think he was the overseas and you know what I mean? Like whatever.
Well,
He's a guy that needs to be this guy, that guy that takes a step next year. They need him. And
but
Huck Porty, needs to get more minutes. If Precious Achua is a free agent, why would he want to come back now? So if he has any choice, I don't know. He's from New York, I guess, whatever. But I don't know.
like
We'll
that's my
see.
point. If Daddy is not going to get, if he's a first round pick and he's going to go 2 years without playing, like what's the point of
Right,
drafting?
the Obi Toppin all over again. Like, what are we doing here?
Like at least see what happens.
Right.
And Mitch is the final year of his contract, and then the Knicks have Mikal final year of his contract. Now they got a lot of relief because Brunson is like the most affordable contract in the league. He's
Oh
going
my
to
God.
pay $37 million
Best contract. Yeah.
But they're gonna have to pay Mikal. They're gonna have to pay Mitch. I don't even know how that all works.
Honestly, you're gonna laugh, but I get like Mikel, I would trade. I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care about the trade. I don't care about how they got him. Like, it's just the guy is so soft. I mean, he made some amazing defensive plays this season, like game-winning
Celtics.
defensive plays, especially in the playoffs, like plays that I will never forget. You know what I mean? In the Pistons, the Celtics series, like everything, like plays that like when you do them, they're usually fouls, but somehow they were clean and they were game-winning plays, and he had the balls to make those plays, which is crazy because he doesn't have the balls to take a contested layup. You know what I mean? It's just it's bad playing that way, and he just plays scared offensively. And I just that's why him and Towns they can go. You know what I mean? Like if they're gone, I wouldn't lose any sleep. Hart, like I said, he sucked in this series. He was terrible, and I think the lineup change kind of messed them up completely. And they're humans, they're not robots. You know what I mean? They don't play games on the spreadsheets. These guys are playing one way all year, and then you change it, and his heart. I think it affected him completely. But whatever. Just because he played a lot of minutes doesn't mean that the rotation was a change. He's used to coming in certain spots with certain rotations and certain lineups, and you know what I mean. So
I
the minutes don't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like that. I don't know. I just feel that those two guys, and Towns and Mikal, I have
yeah,
no
Mikal,
connection to.
you can't trade him because it's such a. I mean, if he's involved in the Giannis deal or something
That's
like
the
that.
only way. Yeah.
But I can't imagine. Man, I mean, unless it's an upgrade, but just to think like to give up that many assets and then after 1 year make a lateral move would be alarming to Leon Rose. Like that's the kind of stuff that begins the firings. Now, if it makes them better and they win, of course. But when you invested and they invested 5 first round picks to get him, 4 from their own and 1 that was the Bucks that ended up being a better pick than probably anybody projected, ended up at 19.
Yeah.
That is like I
But
will
with the
say
salaries
this.
they have, they couldn't use those picks anyway. That's the thing. They're so far over the cap, and they're trying to stay away from the apron that they wouldn't be able to use these picks anyway. Maybe the ones in like 5-7 years from now, whatever. But fine.
See,
But the ones that are recently, they can't use them.
you can see from a net perspective how those picks now become a weapon for you. You
Yeah.
use them to pick when the Knicks and like I can't imagine the Knicks in 2031 are going to have any. It's going to be a totally different team in 6 years. It's going to be a
Right,
totally
but
different.
you never
roster.
know. They still could be a good team. It might not be
But-
like the bottom out,
But these things
2018 Knicks. You know what I mean? Like
these
that.
things change so fast, man. I can't give you any prediction.
No, I know.
of what that'll
I
be
know.
like. But you can see now with the Nets, like that Bridges trade, really helped the organization. And I know the pick this year isn't very good, and the pick in 2 years might not be very good. But maybe they say, hey, San Antonio, we'll give you Cam Johnson, the 8, and the Knicks 2029 pick, and we'll give you the 2. And
Right.
automatically that Mikal trade was worth it. If you can move up for the like automatically. All right. You have Harper. Who knows? He could suck. But the point is it's worth the risk. You had
Right.
to make like they gave him flexibility. but I
I'll give
think
him
from an
flexibility to get stars also, to get like Trey Young and Giannis. If you really want to make those trades, you have the picks to make them
oh
both
man,
happen,
I
so
know. I mean, if they could,
that's the dream for a
if
Nets
they,
fan is
yeah, I
Giannis and
know there's
Trey.
some net fans that aren't into it, and
Of
this is
course
why
not. I
I'm,
mean,
but this
people
is why
just
I'm so into the idea.
yeah.
Everything I just laid before. If the Nets had Giannis and Trey Young, based on how the Eastern Conference is so volatile, I'm not saying it's a lock to win, but you can't tell me that all of a sudden this team doesn't have the potential to do it when anything in the East is possible. And now you have Giannis and Trey, right? Like you could win the East. That's and it's not, and this is not black and white, goggles here. This is a reality. Like they could do it because it's just so wide open. So how could you not take that kind of chance?
It's wide open unless Giannis gets traded to like the Cavs. Some shit, you know what I mean? Like that's like
Yeah,
he's the big, we said it a couple of years ago. It was like I forgot who it was, but it was Donovan Mitchell was the trade piece. It was like this guy is the thing that can change the whole trajectory of the
yeah.
NBA in a
First
certain
domino.
way. It didn't happen right away. It happened took 2 years for it to fester and to make the Cavs a powerhouse till they got hurt in the playoffs. But Giannis is never injured. I mean, he's a monster. Like he looks like a video game like created player. You know what I mean? So it's like trading him to like the Pistons or like a team like like oh my God, that team now
Yeah,
suddenly becomes like this amazing team that you is the East is suddenly not so wide open. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
there's that. So we'll see.
I'm just so joyful that
Yeah.
we can now have these kind of conversations and
Ugh,
not
I'm
like,
not.
no, I understand from your perspective. I mean, you're in it. You're that close to the NBA finals. It stings. I
Part of
understand.
me is like happy in a way because like I have my weeks back. You know what I mean? Like I don't have like I still always watch sports. I watch the Mets and what, but it's not like a point in TV where I'm like everything's got to be perfect. You go here, get this out of here, get the kid to bed, eat him. Da, da, da. It's like so much
Don't move the
pressure
remote.
every 2 days, especially in the conference finals, where it's like literally every 2 days. You're just like
Yeah.
it's so much pressure, and now it's a little bit of relief. But at this point, it's like you're so close to the finals. Like I'll take another 2 weeks of this. You know what I mean? Like big deal. So
Yeah. No,
whatever. At
I
least,
felt instant,
yeah,
instant relief when I knew it was over. It was like
yeah,
it was just gone. I mean, it was
yeah.
just, I mean, everybody would like people in my house. I had my parents over and they're like, what the you are really happy today. And I said, I'm not gonna hide
Congratulations.
it.
Yeah.
I am. I'm not like screw it. That's why when Dolan text, congrats on your big win. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
It,
I
I
appreciate it.
mean, it was due. It was thank you to the Indiana Pacers for saving the NBA back to back years.
And
Last year, of course, in the second round in 7, this year, the third round in 6. Thank you, Indiana Pacers. I saw a guy today at the park with a Pacers hat. I was like, I just want to give you a hug. I just want to give him a hug. I didn't, but
you get triggered by people wearing certain teams hats, Knicks hats. Like you get really triggered by that.
oh yeah,
Text me
that's
all the
what
time.
I told my wife because I went to the game. I don't know. Maybe I said this on the last episode, but I was talking to my wife after she was talking about the game. I was like, there were a lot of Nick jerseys. She looked at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You were at the game.
You were at a Knicks game. Do you
I was like,
expect there to be no Knicks jerseys?
man,
Like,
but yeah, they trigger me. They certainly do.
yeah.
I saw a lot of them.
For example, for the people listening, and we'll then have one more fun point, and then we'll go.
No, we're
Um,
gonna do this all night.
no, I gotta go. I can't do this
I'm
all
just gonna
night.
stay here.
You
just,
can.
I'll just keep ripping.
Michael texted me randomly, be like, "Hey, I was taking my kid to whatever class, swim class, gym class, whatever he's doing on a weekend, and this guy seemed pretty cool, but he had a Knicks hat on, and I know instantly knew he was a douche, things like that. Like those are the kinds of text
Yeah,
messages
don't
you
say
get, or
that.
like this guy was so loud, he was funny, but like he had a Knicks hat on, so you know what I mean? Like he's probably an asshole, you know what I mean? It's and these
Well,
are serious, but he's not even kidding. Mike's not even kidding when he says these
I'm a
things.
little bit kidding, but I will say this: my son is in t-ball, and there's these dads that didn't know each other beforehand, but have bonded through the Knicks' success. And they're always talking and they're always saying this. Now, this Saturday, because of the weather, we actually didn't have t-ball,
Yeah.
but we do have it on Saturday morning. Um, Before we go on vacation, we're hitting up t-ball, and then I am like so looking forward to seeing these guys and having them commiserate and, whatever they're going to say. And just, I'm going to take so much joy and I will jump in the conversation. Maybe they'll listen to this podcast. Who knows? But they
Yeah.
probably know you. I cannot wait to see those guys on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I hope you do. And what's funny is that we got into the NBA Finals and the Knicks are eliminated, and Aaron Rodgers is still not signed with the team. So just something I was thinking about. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah. Well, we had to do this for another 2 weeks. Oh,
I at least
Thunder
wanted
are
to get the
good,
game
but
seven. I wanted to feel game seven. I haven't felt the game seven since like I don't
last
know, I was a
year.
kid. That didn't count. I mean, the Knicks
Well, it
were
was
out of
game
it.
7.
I know, but they were all injured. That wasn't a real game seven. That was
No.
like, we're in game seven. I haven't felt the game seven since the 90s. And like, I really wanted to feel it, especially the conference finals. Game seven is really intense.
Oh God.
So
Yeah. But we didn't get it.
we
'Cause
didn't get it.
Indiana won. I mean,
I
you
also
sure
saw
you
a
don't want to
funny
stay?
reel. I saw a
I
funny
love
reel where guys like had to blow off some steam and he's playing like the Knicks in 2K in a video game, playing the Pacers. And it shows Jalen Brunson hitting a three, and then he cuts to the score. It's like 263-2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's like,
Yeah.
so. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right. See ya.
Bad weather fans 2-6. Now you always, when the Nets lost some tough series, you started every episode with "Let It Burn."
Yeah.
I don't have anything musically planned, but I do have something planned for you later.
What does that
So,
mean?
I got something planned. You'll see. You'll see in a later episode. We
Okay.
got things in the works. There are a
All
lot of
right.
people that dislike the. Let me tell you this, Alex. There are a lot of people that dislike the Knicks, and I have become um, a safe place for people to vent it to me. So we got
Are
some
you the
fun things in the
president of the
works.
coalition now? You're the have you
I
taken
am the
over?
president of the coalition. I said that. I am. I am, and I'm proud of it. Like, no shame.
So did you like is it a dictatorship or is it a democracy? Like you took it over, like you're like, this is mine by
No, we're all
force.
we're all equal here, man.
Yeah, no, I'm
I'm
kidding.
like Nick fans. We get along, we chat,
God damn.
and
What a fun year though. It was fun. We had fun. We had a good time. And hopefully next year like the Nets are good and the Knicks are good and we can have, more fun on the pod.
they'll be better.
We're still gonna do this all summer. So people who are still listening obviously are really big fans of the pod. And we're gonna be doing this all summer like we always do. So don't worry. Some more shorts on YouTube. You can catch that on Bad
Yeah,
Weather
go
Fans.
subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah.
Get the subscriptions up. We're at
Yo.
518. We went up to 519. Then somebody said, "Fuck this," and we went back to 518.
Fuck. Asshole.
God,
All right.
I'm in a good mood. All right.
Okay. Bye.
Sorry, I just wanted the awkwardness. That felt great.